General comes out with with this report in regards to the effect of social media on the youth's mental health. Now, this is obvious. I find this obvious, but people of science want proof, and that's fair, right? But it does seem obvious when you have a correlation between the rise of Facebook and the suicide rates of young people, especially young ladies, very young ladies. It's very sad. But now the Surgeon General has just released this full report on the detriment of social media. Now, I know this is kind of veering off from music news, but I think that as a musician, as someone who uses social media a lot to try to push my platforms and stuff, I find this to be very, interesting and informative, because we're on social media right now, right? Like Twitch is another form of social media. So I think this pertains to this channel, and we're gonna go through some of this. So let's see how well I read, and if I suck, we'll just go to text to read or text to voice or whatever. So you guys don't have to hear me stuttering and stammering all over the place. Today, United States Surgeon General Dr. Vivek Murthy released a new Surgeon General's advisory on social media and youth mental health. While social media may offer some benefits, there are ample indicators that social media can also pose a risk of harm to the mental health and well-being of children and adolescents. Social media use by young people is nearly universal, with up to 95% of young people ages 13 to 17 reporting using a social media platform, and more than a third saying they use social media almost constantly. Now, I don't know why parents will allow their kids to get on social media and just let them go wild on it. Saucy is very regulated. My son is very regulated on what he can and can't do on his phone. He definitely can't have any Instagrams or any Facebooks or TikToks. He does have a YouTube channel, but most of the time, social media in the 2010s was awful. Yeah, but it got better as I don't know if you want to call it better, but as there's this whole. I think it's Steven Pinker. Maybe I got it wrong. God damn it, I wish I could remember the book. I read this book about it. And they show a correlation between, I think it was the like buttons. I think that's what it was. And being able to comment. I can't remember. There was like this direct lineage and direct line showing that as Facebook and these apps and Twitter became mobile, because once social media, even in the the early 2000s, social media was garbage. Early Facebook was kind of stupid, but as it became mobile, as it became more integrated with our lives, it's become more intrusive, and it's become a problem for especially kids and their mental health, because you're constantly comparing yourself. I mean, think about it as a young girl. When you see on Instagram, all you see is these big fine booties and like these perfect faces, and they're just sitting there with a flat chest and no ass, and they're just sitting there, it's like, I'm so disgusting. Or because women show aggression towards other women by tearing them down socially. Like, as men, we will be aggressive towards other men physically. Women tend to show aggression towards other women by tearing them down in a social standard. So you have the media, you have bullying, you have these unattainable goals of beauty and these standards. And I do see why we went so far as to be like, Lizzo is beautiful, which Lizzo is cute in the face, but I think she's a little bit too juicy for me. But there's tons of dudes that love that. There's tons of women who love Lizzo. But when you think of the traditional sense of beauty, Lizzo doesn't come to mind for me, but that's me, right? That's a very subjective opinion. But when I'm trying to, we went so far the other way because of how Photoshop can take out blemishes and will, like, Kim Kardashian is shrinking her waistline with Photoshop. It's creating this unattainable culture within the youth that's causing all these fucking misfires in their brains. It's really fucking with kids, and it fucks with me too. It fucks with adults too, but as adults we have a little bit more of grasp on reality. We're a little bit more put together than young kids whose hormones are going wild and stuff. So what's a Lizzo? I don't know what Lizzo is. Now it's wobbly gobble booty bubble girls, which, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Instagram ladies who are showing their ass. The one thing that's fun now is that they wear those see-through dresses, and now you can see their vagina lips. Like, have you seen those yet? Vagina lips? Beautiful. Lizzo sounds like a Japanese anime girl villain. She can be. She was acting like she ain't never dipped an Oreo in milk before. She made a video where she's like dipping Oreos in the milk. Like Lizzo ain't never dipped an Oreo in milk and ate like a whole fucking bag of that shit. Big was a beauty statement back in the day because it was hard to get food, a sign of status. Now we get food stamps. Which is kind of sad that the most obese and unhealthy people tend to be in the poorest neighborhoods, and they tend to, you know, diabetes, like in Latino, in the black neighborhood, not neighborhoods, but in the black culture, you know, like being big, being fat, you know, like it's part of it. And it's because we're fed like the worst of the worst. And I put myself in the poor too, because I grew up obese. I still am obese. Growing up on ramen noodles, not eating vegetables, not, you know, just eating the worst of the worst food. You know, drive-throughs, you know, dollar menus, which don't exist anymore. But yeah, I could see how back in the day being thick was a standard of beauty because of it showed opulence, and I get that. Eat better today card. Damn, I must have been one ugly mofo because I'm 147. Laotians be eating hella good. Oh, Laotians? Well, like the Asians. When you look at Asian culture, where was it? Was it in Japan, where they live forever? They just eat rice and fish, and they just Latinos. Okay. Yeah, they eat really good, but they also eat a bunch of pork. They're eating like beef every day. They're eating tortillas. They're eating fucking, you know, like my mom. Which she used to render bacon fat, which I was talking about earlier. That's where I got the idea. It was from my mom. She renders bacon fat for her beans and for her rice and for her eggs. So yeah, it's definitely part of the culture of just eating poorly, especially in Latino, especially the Mexicans. But oh my God, Mexican food is so good. Soul food is so good, right? Like, oh my God, like Filipino food is so good. Like everything's fried and shit. Well, not everything, but you know what I'm saying. I don't know. Anyways, it is weird that now the poorest people have to they're almost forced into this eating unhealthy because you have food deserts, right? I used to play Flint, Michigan, and if you guys don't know what Flint, Michigan is, Flint, Michigan currently can't drink their own water, which they're among like 20 or 30 different cities in America currently who can't drink the water out of their tap. They live in a fucking food desert. Like the only place to shop was like one Kroger, which is just like their thing, and the vegetables are garbage. And when you look at the people when they're walking out with their food, it's all just fucking soda and chips and fucking processed canned meat and stuff. It's really bad for you stuff because there's really no other option but this one place in this moderate sized city. I mean, Flint used to be a pretty moving and grooving city, but ever since the automobile industry left it, it's just been left in destitute. How's Palestine doing? Yeah, you don't hear about that, right? Don't hear about Palestine anymore. Bacon grilled cheese sandwiches, sweet potato fries, and strawberry lemon. Oh, damn. Goddamn opulence. That is opulent. That sounds so fucking good right now. My fat is clapping for that. Corporate media, I mean corrupt media. You mean fucking corporate controlled, corporate captured media? How is Palestine? Oh, look at the environment. Look, they're just giving the forecast. Condition with train spill. Train derailment. So this is in April. So they live in limbo months. What is this? No, get the fuck out. No. East Palestine residents. This is back in April 25th. So this is almost a whole month ago. East Palestine residents live in limbo after fiery train derailment. Jeff Durmond spends days and nights alone in a tiny room with fake wood paneling, 2 small beds, and a microwave atop a mini refrigerator. Okay, tell us what's going on. Almost 3 months after the fiery train derailment, Black in the Skies sent residents fleeing and thrust East Palestine into a national debate over rail safety. Residents say they are still living in limbo. They're unsure how or whether to move on from the accident and worry what will happen to them and the village where they have deep family roots, friendships, and affordable homes. I have no idea how long we can continue to do this. So there you go. As of a month ago, they are just, no one's telling them shit. They just are expected to go about their lives, which they probably are because they probably don't have nowhere. There's some people who don't have the money to leave or have nowhere to go. It's like, what the fuck are they going to do? Florida don't sound so bad anymore. Mean Gene. All right, buddy. You stay cool. I'll make sure to give Betty your number. Betty is the hornball at work. And sliding up in your DMs. But sweet dreams, my friend. Be well. So, yeah, that's great. Anyways, coming back to our social media thing. With adolescence and childhood representing a critical stage in brain development that can make young people more vulnerable to harms from social media, the Surgeon General is issuing a call from urgent action by policymakers, technology companies, researchers, families, and young people alike to gain a better understanding of the full impact of social media use, maximize the benefits and minimize the harms of social media platforms, and create safer, healthier online environments to protect children. The Surgeon General's advisory is a part of the Department of Health and Human Services' ongoing efforts to support Joe Biden's whole of government strategy to transform mental health care for all Americans. So right there, I mean, I'm not trusting anything that's being said here. This is actually coming directly from the Health and Human Services website. It's a .gov site, so this is directly from the site. And here's a quote. Here's the problem with the pandemic that just happened and with the idea that, Pfizer owns everything and owns half the government and, the NIH, it owns patents in medications where they make billions of dollars off of medication, where you see the CDC being captured by these companies, by corporate interests. It's interesting that they're going after social media in this way now. It always makes me question when the government starts talking about it, because this is something that's been going on for years. This has been a discussion that's been happening. Like, this has been happening, but you see the government talking about it now. So I always get, I always question, like, why are they talking about this now when no one really trusts what the fuck they're saying anymore? Who the fuck trusts the government and shit now? Oh, I know who trusts the fucking people who ran out and got vaccinated when they were told to. They're the ones who trust our government. I can't speak for other governments, but I can definitely speak for our American government. And if you got the vaccine, I'm not trying to shit on you or anything, but there was a moment there where people were just like, if you're not vaccinated, you're going to kill everybody. You're a piece of shit and you should die. Vote blue no matter who. Yes. And that's a good point, Naders. They're trying to make an impact. We're coming up on a big election here, and they're just throwing everything at the fucking wall and just throwing shit at the wall. Rules of three, not for me. The most common question parents ask me is social media safe for my kids? The answer is that we don't have enough evidence to say it's safe. And in fact, there is growing evidence that social media use is associated with harm to young people's mental health, said the Surgeon General. Children are exposed to harmful content on social media, ranging from violent and sexual content to bullying and harassment. And for too many children, social media use compromises their sleep and valuable person time with family and friends. We are all in the middle of a national youth mental health crisis, and I am concerned that social media is an important driver of that crisis. So I do see, I took one shot like a year ago. That's fine. And I'm not trying to judge anybody for that, because a lot of people's jobs depended on it. People felt safe with it. And, not to talk too much shit, but it did reduce, I'm not trying to like deter the whole vaccine thing. The only thing I didn't like about the vaccine is that they were trying to say that if you don't take this, you're going to kill people. And they're making social pariahs out of people who didn't want to take the vaccine. I have nothing against people taking the vaccine. It did help reduce hospitalization, even though they told us it was going to stop from the spread, and it did nothing, and they never tested for it, and there was tons of people lying about it, and there are lots of people just sort of dying for no reason. They don't understand. Just random people, healthy young people are just dying for no reason at all. Safe and effective. I'm not trying to, disparage anybody who took the shot. Whatever. It's totally fine. What I didn't like is how they made people out to be the enemy of the state because they didn't want to put some untested, no accountability having ass shit in their body. So, anyways, moving on from the vaccine. That's the thing. I never stopped going to the bar and sharing doobies. Did just fine. Call it hurting me. Haters. You and me both, bro. There was like a good year, though, where, in that first not a year. It was probably the first few months. As soon as my gym opened up in February 2021, I fucking was right in the gym. I didn't give a fuck. I was in the steam room with other people. Now, I will admit that I did drop eucalyptus and tea tree oil in the steam room to help sort of kill any airborne viruses or bacteria. But, yeah, it was fine. I was sharing doobies. I did catch COVID twice, and sour cream still tastes kind of funny now. I was almost afraid to pump gas because I had to touch it, then smacked myself and said they are winning. I was like Nicolas Cage in Bad Lieutenant. I had never seen that, but I can only imagine. As for a harmful, the other part about the social media, and as in taking person time with family and friends, that's another big thing I think that is sort of tearing away at the family unit. I know not everyone's families are great or perfect, but to sort of cut your your personal time with your family. I was just talking to a person today at work, one of my coworkers, and we are talking about how like her boyfriend's family, they're all on their phone while they're at dinner together. And they're just sitting there scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, not talking to each other, and they barely ever have dinner together. I think it's really important for people to have, a certain amount of time together as a family to be able to really impart knowledge, impart values, impart morality. And a lot of that's sort of getting torn away with social media and the debauchery that goes on there. If it's not Satanist or if it's not people who, it's social media is sort of, some people call this whole trans movement a social contagion because you have a lot of these young people who are seeing on social media that this is a new way of sort of getting social brownie points, and young people are impressionable, so you're seeing a lot more people come out as trans or pan or anything. And I'm not trying to shit on anybody or disparage anybody. Do your thing. But, some people are saying that this is all sort of stemming from social media and it's sort of making its way into classrooms, and it's not just the trans thing. It's the whole, again, unattainable beauty and taking away person time with your family and friends. And it's sort of, social media has become the new television, right? Because when I was young, my parents would just set me in front of a TV and be like, all right, shut up, watch this. And the TV raised me. So now we have social media sort of raising our youth now. And it seems to be pretty fucking detrimental. It seems to be really fucking bad for kids. It seems that when you see the suicide rates among, children are killing themselves, and you have them constantly on their devices, constantly seeing this wild ass shit that's going on the phone. It does seem to be pretty destructive. So I got an option to borrow a tractor. Gotta go. Much love. All right, buddy. Naders, I saw your message earlier that you're borrowing a tractor. So get your tractor on, buddy. Do your thing. Wait, I gotta see what's Bad Lieutenant? Let's look at Bad Lieutenant real quick. Lieutenant. Why was Bad Lieutenant controversial? The R-rated cut was described as drug use, language, violence, and nudity. The scene in which the lieutenant pulls over two young girls and masturbates in front of them is almost completely absent from the blockbuster version. Oh, shit. All right. So was Nicolas Cage the Bad Lieutenant? Oh. He has a painkiller addiction. This is... Where's the... Let's see the trailer. Oh, yeah, because originally Bad Lieutenant was Harvey Keitel, and then they must have made a remake. It is like another version of it, I guess. Let's check it out. That was a good movie. I love that. That was really good. That's funny. So that was you, Opulence. You just run around bug wild during the pandemic. I definitely went to like a music festival and was definitely doing the most. I was definitely doing the most during the pandemic. I mean, but again, I was locked down. I did lock down for a few months, but as soon as I realized that it was mostly just nonsense, we were just like, yeah. It's funny now that they're telling us that another pandemic is going to come. It's going to happen again. We should be all afraid. Everyone, be afraid! Usage of social media can become harmful depending on the amount of time children spend on the platforms, the type of content they consume or are otherwise exposed to, and the degree to which it disrupts activities that are essential for health, like sleep and physical activity. Importantly, different children are affected by social media in different ways, including based on cultural, historical, and socioeconomic factors. Among the benefits, adolescents reports that social media helps them feel more accepted, 58%, like they have people who can support them through tough times, like they have a place to show their creative side, and more connected to what's going on with their friends' lives, which is great, which is a great aspect of social media. But even I have been affected by social media. Obviously, we all have, but it definitely was affecting my sleep. So now I don't scroll on social media right before bed. I have to stop, or else I won't be able to fall asleep because my brain is like, I can't work all the way until I go to bed. I can't be on social media until I go to bed. At some point, I try about half hour or an hour before I go to sleep to turn that shit off and just like chill and watch a show with my family, or sometimes I'll play chess with my son, or just something that's not revving the engines, because you shouldn't be revving your engines all the way until you try to go to bed. That's how you get terrible sleep. So yeah, definitely it's fucking with kids' sleep, and sleep is so huge. It's such an important part, especially for developing young minds. It needs to happen. It just has to. So it's fucking with their sleep. It's making them crazy. However, social media can be excessive and problematic for some children. And again, before we move on, I did want to point out that they're kind of showing some good parts of the internet and social media, because it is nice to know what family and friends are doing. We do find communities, right? Like Twitch is a great example of a social media platform that creates communities for people to sort of come and gather and think like-mindedly, or have discussions about, what's bothering them, or just whatever it is. It does connect people to other people, and that's really awesome. Like Discord is awesome for people to share their art or whatever it is that they're working on, and it's just a cool place. It can be really, really positive place. I think that's what they're trying to say there. However, social media use can be excessive and problematic for some children. Recent research shows that adolescents who spend more than 3 hours per day on social media face double the risk of experiencing poor mental health outcomes, such as symptoms of depression and anxiety. Yet one 2021 survey of teenagers found that on average, they spend 3.5 hours a day on social media. Social media may also perpetrate body dissatisfaction, disordered eating behaviors, social comparison, and low self-esteem, especially among adolescent girls. 1/3 or more of girls aged 11 to 15 say they feel addicted to certain social media platforms, and over half of teenagers report that it would be hard to give up social media. When asked about the impact of social media on their body image, 46% of adolescents aged 13 to 17 said social media makes them feel worse. 40% said it makes them feel neither better nor worse, and 14% said it makes them feel better. Additionally, 64% of adolescents are often or sometimes exposed to hate-based content through social media. Studies have shown a relationship between social media use and poor sleep quality, reduced sleep duration, sleep difficulties, and depression amongst youth. So, I mean, that's huge for such a small age group. Like from 11 to 17, that's a very short amount of time in someone's life, but it's such a crucial part of people's life because it starts their development of becoming an adult. And it feels like it's sort of stunting people. Like, how many times have you seen on social media, like, grown-ass fucking adults, like 25, 28, 35-year-old people crying about shit, like, about dumb shit? Just like, and my boss said he wants me to go to work, and I said I didn't sleep well last night, so I can't work. Like, just, it's seriously stunted the social, or I mean the mental growth of people. Like, they grow up into adults, but they stay babies. They stay little kids. They fucking bitch and whine about going to work, or and I get like this whole movement of people not wanting to go to work because they understand that like it's a rat race, and this system isn't set up for us to get ahead. The system isn't set up for regular people to live the quote unquote American dream. So I get why people are discouraged, but like, you can't just sit there and whine about it on social media. You have to do something. If you're not happy about what's being presented, then you should do whatever you can to change that. And so, it's creating fucking just adult babies, and it's stunting these kids' growth, mental growth. While more research is needed to determine the full impact of social media, While more research is needed to determine the full impact social media use has on nearly every teenager across the country, children and adolescents don't have the luxury of waiting years until we know the full extent of social media's effect. The Surgeon General's advisory offers recommendations stakeholders can take. The Surgeon General's advisory offers recommendations stakeholders can take to help ensure children and their families have the information and tools necessary to make social media safer for children. So this is what this is the suggestion that the Surgeon General is putting forward. Policymakers can take steps to strengthen safety standards and limit access in ways that social media safer for children of all ages, better protect children's privacy, support digital and media literacy, and fund additional research. To me, that sounds like censorship. That's what that sounds like. So, this is all... It seems like they're asking for more regulation on social media, which... I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, but I definitely know, especially when we look at the Twitter files and how much that our Department of Justice had access, America's Department of Justice had access to directly to Twitter and telling them what they can and cannot post. This seems like that kind of goes in that category of like, well, we need to, make it more kid friendly. I think we should call upon parents to be parents, but not all parents are great. Technology companies can better and more transparently assess the impact of their products on children, share data with independent researchers to increase our collective understanding of their impacts, make, design, and develop decisions that prioritize safety and health, including protecting children's privacy and better adhering to age minimums, and improve systems to provide effective and timely responses of complaints. Now, this is, I think, this is probably a good suggestion, as in some kids' privacy should be, or kids' privacy should be protected. What's weird is that you see these Instagram pages where they show young girls, like underage girls, like purposely underage girls, like young girls, like maybe 10 or 11, and they sexualize them. And when you look in the comments, you see nothing but fucking perverts, like, oh, beautiful. And it is part of a pedophilia sort of kink or fetish that people, grown as adults can go there and fucking get off to these young children, which is so fucking gross. So it needs to be protected in that sense. I mean, those little kid beauty pageants are so gross. I can't stand that shit. It's horrifying. So technology companies could probably do a better job at protecting kids in that sense. But again, that is a form of censorship. This is not an easy solution. There's no real solution here. There's just trade-offs. Parents and caregivers can make plans in their house hold, such as establishing tech-free zones that better foster in-person relationships, teach kids about responsible online behavior and model that behavior, and report problematic content and activity. Report. Who are we reporting to? Oh, reporting on inappropriate, okay, and problematic content. This is the huge part right here is parents. Like, parents definitely need to parent their children. And again, my son has very limited options when it comes to his phone use. He has a couple hours a day where he gets to like do his thing. He has YouTube, but there's no TikTok, there's no Instagram, there's no Facebook, and he probably won't be able to have that shit until he's well into his teens, if not later. So parents need to be parents. Children and adolescents can adopt healthy practices like limiting time on platforms, blocking unwanted content, being careful about sharing personal information, and reaching out if they or a friend need help or see harassment or abuse on the platforms. Yeah, that's definitely that's good. Limiting time on platforms, blocking unwanted content. Yeah, don't be sharing, like teaching your kids not to share information. It's just like, don't talk to strangers on the street. If some weirdo is in your DMs, don't just like give your personal information away. Researchers can further prioritize social media and youth mental health research that can support the establishment of standards and evaluation of best practices to support children's health. In concert with the Surgeon General Advisory, leaders at 6 of the nation's medical organizations have expressed their concern on social media effects on youth mental health. And so this is a quote: social media can be a powerful tool for connection, but it also can lead to increased feelings of depression and anxiety, particularly among adolescents. Yes, we've established that. Family physicians are often the first stop for parents and families concerned with the physical and emotional health of young people in their lives. And we confront the mental health crisis among youth every day. The American Academy of Family Physicians commends, okay, they're just fucking giving themselves a pat on the back for doing this. Today's children, okay, so these are some quotes from different doctors. Today's children and teens do not know a world without digital technology, but the digital world wasn't built with children's healthy mental development in mind. We need an approach to help children both on and offline that meets each child where they are, while also working to make digital spaces they inhabit safer and healthier. Yeah, okay, so this is a bunch of stuff. So here's the actual PDF, social media and your mental health. Here's the here's their study. So if anybody wants their study, I'll drop it in the chat. You guys can read through this, but I think we covered that pretty extensively. Anyways, I do kind of want to read through this, but I'm not reading this. I sound like an idiot when I read out loud, and I can't imagine reading 20 pages of text. I sound like a fucking dumb. So, anyways, there's that. So, social media, it can be awesome. It can be a great way to meet friends and join communities, but it can also be a horrifying shit show. I think everybody knew that. I think everybody had that in mind. But at least our government is showing this and, talking about it, which is important. Anyways,